all going down this road together. So nobody's smarter than anybody else. We're learning as we go. But I do want to start off with the opening of the courts. Now, if you are following the what is that over there?
Under one roof.
The roundtable update 2 p.m. every day. You're pretty much up to speed with what's going on. And if you've been to those, this might be repetitive to you. But on June 18th, last Thursday, a week ago, the Chief Judge Marks came out with a memorandum of how the courts are going to open. And they opened on Monday, the 20th. And basically, it's convoluted. It's a pain in the butt. So right now, they're only allowing petitions to be filed by mail. And the other option is by electronic filing, except Rochester does not have that yet. Mail. That's pretty layered right there, right? So, and she goes on to describe how things get served. It's so convoluted to the point I just might want to just wait till August 20th, you know. Beth, did you have a chance to like read that and dig into it and agree that it's a mess?
I did, and we talked to our attorney, and we're not going to do anything till August 20th. It's just, it's way too much red tape, and I mean, chances of an attorney getting disbarred for doing that is slim to none, but my attorney is not going to take that chance, nor would I want him to. So we're just across the board, August 20th, unfortunately.
Right, and what Beth is referring to is that along with the petition, you have to submit an affirmation if you're being represented by an attorney, one from the attorney, and if you're going pro se or doing it by yourself, which by the way, going forward, I don't recommend that until further notice. Have an attorney do this while we're going through all this, all these details here, because it's pretty, there's a lot to know. But there's an affirmation that they have to fill out to confirm that they're complying with the CARES Act, they're complying that the property doesn't have a federally backed loan on it. They're complying with the fact that they have no knowledge of the tenant being affected by financially by COVID, and that they're eligible for unemployment. There's a list of things that they have to affirm to. And like Beth is saying, it's just like we're what, a month and a half away? Well, 2 months from less than 2 months from August 20th. So I prefer just working with the tenant. If the tenant wants to stay and they're going to have the ability to pay rent, just work out a payment plan. That's the better way to go, Beth, right?
Yeah, we've actually had a form that you shared with me a couple weeks ago, the early termination form. We have sent that to probably 10 people, and 3 have actually taken us up on it and are moving out at the end of this month. So Carl, if you want to explain that, that's actually been very good for us, because you know possession is more than half the battle. So
and that's the new norm. It's not about rent anymore. It's about possession. My God, I can't say that enough. So that's our goal. I mean, if we got to lose $2,000, $3,000 in rent just to get our property back, on the business financial side, it makes sense, because if not, the way it's now, it's 2, 3, 4, more like 4 or 5 months before you're going to get your property back. So in my notices that I send out, and I send out a few, I give them an option 2, which is if you prefer to move out by July 1, in this case, July 1, we have authority to be able to waive all back rent due. And you can do it your own way. You could use, that's my way. I mean, or you can put 1 month or 2 months or whatever you want to do, but you're waiving rent in exchange for them to move out in a non-coerced way. And I had 2 that took me up on it, Beth. So sometimes it works. It's just one tool in the toolbox to try to get your property back with people owing a lot of rent. My case was, luckily one was just 2 months. The other one was 4 months not being paid rent. So and amazingly, both them, one of them left it in mint condition. I mean, normally we do preps, right? Something. We had to do nothing in this one. It was just like blew my mind away. The other one was just like a quick clean, but still left it undamaged and amazingly acceptable. So the other one moved out of state back to their parents' house. You know, called me up. Hey, I moved out. I mailed the keys in. I'm sorry, but let me know what I owe you. You know, I'll get you all paid. No, you're fine. Security deposit took care of one of those, and we'll waive the other one. Big deal. She's out of state. Um, any comments or questions on that strategy? It's worked for Gallagher. It's worked for me.
Carl, I've used that strategy even pre-COVID, and very often when there is a move out, it actually provides a wonderful opportunity for raising the rent as well for the new tenant coming in.
Absolutely, yeah. And the other strategy too, the workout plan, is once they get full employment or income coming in, you know, a repayment plan. You know, an extra 50, 100, 75 onto the rent. They have the ability to do that. You have a ready-made tenant right there. Keep it going. That's if you want them there and they meet all the lease requirements. They have all the things that you expect from the tenant. Again, I'll go back to the core thing here in a second. So it's been a month since we spoke here, and what's been happening is a lot of that unemployment is just now coming in. There's been long delays. There's been they're getting that $600 a week thing, and they're getting the back unemployment as they were told. So they're coming into this really cash rich, and so we're getting a lot of tenants running around going, "Hey, I got first 2 months rent, 3 months rent, blah, 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 blah. Looks good." They have no ability to pay future rent. I mean, they're unemployed. They have no job, right? So I've had to deny a whole lot of these folks because of the fact that I have to look at that $600 is going to be gone in about a month unless it's extended. So, for example, I had unemployment $705, $600 per week, by the way. $600 was from the stimulus. That's gone, right? So I have to look at their income as $105 a week. So a lot of denials that way. It looks very enticing. You know, a lot of cash up front, cash rich, income poor. Just be careful with that. Are you seeing it too, Beth? A lot of cash coming in?
We have a lot of cash coming in, but like you said, a lot of people on unemployment. And I'm just like, how do you think you're going to afford it in a couple weeks when it ends? And there's, you know, I know that you legally can't deny for that right now, because income is income as of what they make right now. But there's plenty of other reasons to deny. I know what you're saying. I would never approve somebody based on that extra $600 a week, but legally speaking, I don't believe you can do that.
A little side note, Beth, question to you. What's the status of late charges again? We can't charge until when?
Until after August 20th.
Okay. I got mixed up there. All right, so moving on to the courts. So that's for non-payment of rent. Holdovers, which I have a couple coming up July 1, and lease violations are still free to go forward. You don't have to have the affirmation on there. These are holdovers. I have 2 for July 1. I will be filing if I can in person. If I got to do it in mail, I'm probably going to wait or whatever. That mail thing is not going to be there very long, I don't think. And I'm going to tell you why. So I had the luxury of going into the Twilight Zone. I went into room 6 at City Court 2 days ago. Here's what happened. You going in, they will question you, do you have business in the court? Yes, okay. They spray your hands, they send you through the detectors, and then you walk into the Twilight Zone. Empty, no sound, 10 people, 3 clerks out of 18 working. Yeah, they got all the plastic things up and they have all this and all that. I go in there, why? Because I had 2 affidavits I had to file. And these are the default affidavits when they could not follow through with the stay. You know, this was from March pre-COVID, where you had a payment plan and you submitted an affidavit. They didn't. We'll see where this goes. But anyways, they took it in person. They appear to be a little relaxed on this, you know, being there thing. But Courtney goes, you can file it, you can take it back with you, because all we're doing is putting them into a pile. We have no idea what we're doing with these until we have further direction. So she took them, they're filed. We'll see what happens. Amazingly, they're taking in-person filings for small claims. I saw 2 while I was there, in person. That was awesome. I was listening to a lot of calls that came in with the clerks, you know, explaining to people that they can't file unless it's by mail. And speaking with Chief Clerk Crimmy, he's beside himself. He has no idea what he's doing. Any filings that do come in, they're going to sit in a pile until he gets direction from somebody, because he doesn't have a plan or a process to deal with mailed-in petitions. He's at a loss. So we're in this gray zone here right now of this, but at least the court's open. We can go inside. The public computers are there. They're open. And that, and by the way, that's where you get your bail. All your bail transactions are there. So a lot of people are there doing that. But the holdover petitions and so on, going for it. Next time we meet here in July, I'll have an update as to how that went in terms of the holdover petition. I very much might go down there in person and attempt to file. And like I said, talking with Gene, he was kind of like, you know, if you file in person, I'm not going to stop you. This is silly, you know. So we'll see what happens July 1. That was my observation with my court day down there. Anybody else been to court since it closed? Or actually, since it opened? No. Everybody's got masks on, and you know, there's everything's marked. You know, it's like a whole different world up there. It's like weird, very weird. Any questions so far? Okay, so let's talk about the. Why isn't that working?
Carl, I guess this is Jim Hayes. I have one question, and it's to the folks around the call. I was looking at an article in the DNC Tuesday, January 23rd. It said emergency rent help approved for New Yorkers. So basically, it said Cuomo signed a bill, $100 million in rent subsidies to eligible New Yorkers. Based on
we're gonna cover that in a minute. That was the second topic tonight after the court opens. Yeah, we're gonna cover that whole bill that got passed.
Good deal. Thank you.
Okay. So let's talk about if you were to file something, what you can file. So most of you know that there's been an additional extension, a moratorium on non-payment of rent petitions to August 20th. You keep hearing this August 20th thing coming up. How did that happen? That was Cuomo extending June 20th to August 20th with conditions. So here are the conditions. You have to wait to August 20th if in fact the property has a federally backed mortgage on the property, the tenant is Section 8 or has any kind of public housing or federally participating portion of rent. The tenant, you must have no knowledge that the tenant had been affected, financially affected from. So if they came to you and says, hey, I lost my job, I can't pay the rent, boom, you're stuck until August 20th. And you have any kind of knowledge that they were affected financially, lack of a job or less income, or if they qualify for unemployment or receiving unemployment. Well, guys, that's most of my tenants, because in the last 2 months, in communicating with them, that's what we were told, right, Beth? Everybody tells you they've been affected, right? And so those cases, you have to wait to August 20th. So I think most cases will be heading towards less, the most egregious ones will happen sooner, but most will go on to August 20th. Any questions? And by the way, that could be extended. That could be changed. Again, this is a moving target as you go forward here. It's kind of crazy. It's driving me nuts.
Carl, let me ask you a question, Carl. Originally, when all of this came out, it was if you have Section 8, it's till August 20th. But recently, I heard that the language is now any subsidy, so that includes DSS. Did you interpret it that way?
I did not. I did not. In fact, I'm looking right at the order. It doesn't say. See, this is misinterpretation. See, this is how somebody interprets that, spreads the news, and this is how it rolls into common knowledge, right? I have not heard that, and that's not what the language says.
Okay.
Do you agree, or what do you think?
I mean, from what I thought, it was just Section 8, but I guess some people are interpreting it otherwise.
Depends on who your source is, right? So.
Right.
Anybody have a tenant? Let's take a stab at it. 5 months or more, no rent? Anybody? Come on. How about you, Beth? You got a couple, don't you?
Oh, yeah. But they're all pre-COVID. They were in eviction, and then COVID hit, so they're just riding the wave.
Right. And the other thing, too, is along with new, like Jean was saying, along with new petitions, you're not going to get a case well into August, early September, because they'd have to unload all the adjourned cases from back in March. There's 385 of them that have to be placed on the calendar. Now, Beth, are you on any of those cases where you have been assigned a date?
Yeah, I have a couple for July 6th and 7th, but then I know that they came out with something saying no court dates until the 7th. So I'm assuming my July 6th ones are off, but I'm not sure about the 7th. And those were pre-COVID ones that never made it to court.
Right. And when I was up in court, I have one on June 30th, and that's a holdover, by the way. And Courtney said, you're on the calendar, but be prepared, it's going to change. So.
Yeah.
I forgot where the July 7th came from. Help me out again.
Some New York, whoever's the head of New York judge, I forgot. I think it started with an L. Said no, nothing can be heard until July 7th.
Oh yeah, that's Judge Larry Marks.
Okay.
Let me see what it says here.
Beth, I was just curious if you or anyone else had any luck with the EIDL. I know this is a different topic, okay, but we could bring it up later. I just wanted to ask if anyone had received it and was aware of being able to use it appropriately, the government loan, SBA loan, with respect to lost rent for especially when you have 5, 6 months, 12 months of lost rent. Can you use this and maybe even have it be forgivable as a portion of that?
The SBA disaster loan, Ethan?
Yeah, again, it's sort of a different topic, but I thought it's related to the rent struggle, and so we could.
Yeah, let me help you out with that, because I went through the whole process. I got my loan. Did you get yours?
Yes.
Okay, so you went through the whole process and you read all the stuff that they gave you? Yeah. Yeah, so it is, the intent is for operational expenses.
Mm-hmm.
Not a direct, my understanding is it's not you can't just say, I didn't get 5 months rent and that's where I used it, because That's income, not an expense, right? So if you, because you didn't get the rent and you had to pay taxes because you had no rent, it would be the tax bill, right?
Oh, okay.
Or my maintenance guy, or renting my shop, or RG&E expenses as a result of lost rent is eligible. That's my understanding. Just keep track of that. I found out uh, not just coincidentally that um, uh, they have a threshold that they don't tell you. And what it is any loans $25,000 or lower, there's no collateral, there's less strings attached.
Oh,
Anything, and I happened to peg mine at 25 grand. I just picked it up. I was approved up to 75,000. Didn't need it all.
oh,
It is a
wow.
loan. It is a loan. You start paying that back a year from now.
Right.
It's a 30-year loan. I'll be dead and gone.
Mhm.
So is it forgivable? No, right now it's not. Strictly a loan right now, unless they change that.
That's too bad. It'd be nice if they could, do something to help with all the lost rent.
Oh, there is. I'm glad you brought that up. So you see, you are aware that there is a New York State loan that'll help landlords with lost rent. Are you familiar with that?
No, it's a loan though.
Yes, but
Oh, okay.
it's designed for landlords that lost rent, utilize
Uh-huh.
lost rent. Let me,
Okay.
Beth,
Well,
talk a little bit while I look this up. I'll be back.
sorry, I don't mean to
No,
make everyone go over it if I missed this from another meeting.
no. I just want to give you the link so you should get into it. I'm going to put it up on the
Okay.
chat room. I'm just going to get the link for you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Yeah, I understand what Carl's saying, and I believe the EIDL loan or whatever it was,
Mhm.
you can get $1,000 up front if you're per employee. So if you don't have an employee, I think you can get $1,000, but if you have, 8 employees, they can go up to $8,000, and that's kind of before they look at your loan and process it. We
Mhm.
didn't go for that loan, so I don't know specifics on it. We got the PPP. So,
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
I'm
you
not,
did.
yeah,
That's great.
yeah,
Um,
but everything
eh,
keeps changing, so it's kind of a pain to figure out, but
but that's because you have employees that you were able to get PPP, right?
correct, yeah. Now, I do know people who applied for the EIDL loan, they applied one per LLC. So I don't know if you have multiple LLCs, but they did it that way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Well,
and then regarding the lost rents, I know Carl's going to cover it, but there is something coming up for that.
Yep.
Unfortunately, you got to have your tenants jump through some hoops, but
mm,
I'll wait for him to cover that.
Yeah, we're going to cover that next. New York, it's called the New York Forward Loan Fund. Yeah, so if you just Google New York Forward Loan Fund, it'll all pop up there. It'll explain everything for you. But it's designed for small businesses. It's designed for the little guys, small businesses and small landlords that have lost rent. They go through the whole thing. That'll help you out right there. And by the way, these Zoom things, there's no structure in terms of content. And if you've got a subject to bring up, get yourself off the mic. We'll take it out and hash it out. So there's really no formal thing. So like that, Ethan, that was perfectly fine. Anybody else has got something you want to talk about? We're all here to listen and to share best practices or help your situation out. Anybody have an item right now?
Could I ask some questions on wholesaling?
Okay.
So how does it work in New York? I've seen that double closing is the best method as opposed to contracts. I don't know if that's true. I'm very new. This is my first meeting.
I get, well, you double close. Well, that's boy. Where'd you hear double? You read a book, didn't you?
I saw it offline.
Wow. That goes way back. Double closings right now are frowned upon by all attorneys. In fact, nobody really does them anymore.
Okay.
I think that's changing, Carl.
In which way?
Pat has a wholesale deal right now that he's got to do a double close on.
No. Wholesale is fine. The double closing he's talking about.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
It's an in-pocket thing. Actually, it's illegal because it was an in-pocket. They would actually have a deal, and right next to that deal is another deal. It went from one deal to another deal. Next to each other. It was done mostly in the 80s and early 90s because real estate prices were going up so fast that you can do the double closing because you had both parties there at the same time. You can actually buy and sell a property within one day and make 10 grand. So that doesn't really exist anymore. So okay. Double closing was a technique that was a little sly, or a sleight of hand, and most attorneys wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. The other thing you're talking about is what?
Contracts? Something with contracts?
Contract for deed? Yeah, land contract? Yeah, that's a land contract for deed. So that's something where the title, and again, I'm not an attorney. If you have an attorney, talk to him about that. It's really used. A lot of attorneys don't like it, but it's there for a reason. It's so that you can control property while you sell the property to a buyer on a land contract terms, right? Like a regular deal. And the reason why it's done that way, in fact, they've done a couple, is so you can retain control of title in case something goes sour, goes wrong down the road, versus having to foreclose. It's done for certain reasons. Like, for example, the buyer needs 2 years to straighten out his credit. There's a number of different reasons it's done, but it's really done. Anybody else have experience with land contracts, Beth? Elliot?
Not my forte.
I have not used them, but one of the drawbacks and one of the reasons why I would not want to touch one as a seller is that a contract for deed is often treated by the courts as a type of mortgage. And that means that if you need to exercise your rights on it, you have to actually bring a mortgage foreclosure proceeding, which is very, very expensive. And that's the reason they're disfavored for sellers.
Okay.
Yeah. So what's nowadays, the new norm is wholesaling. Isaac, where as Beth was saying, you find a property, and Joel Barbera is usually on here, but he's the master at this, and a lot of people are doing it. You buy it, find a distressed property, negotiate a low enough price so that you can sell it to a buyer for a little higher price, but you're selling the contract.
Okay.
Selling the contract.
But what I think he's asking about is because as most people will sign the contract, but with the stuff the Attorney General and all that was going on, and where the state's going after wholesaling, we may have to go back to double closing.
Yeah. I'm not up to speed with what they're doing with wholesaling. I think there's some talk in the assembly about putting some kind of control on that. Beth, anybody up to speed with that?
Yeah, I know we buy a lot of wholesale deals, and our owners do a lot of buy from wholesalers. So typically it's just a contract, and whoever the wholesaler is, it just says they're the buyer, or to form an LLC, something like that. And they sell that contract for a certain amount over what the seller is. And typically you can do that in one close, but we do have our first one right now where you have to do a double close. So that's double the, all the fees and everything. And and like Frank said, it is in the works that they're going to have to start doing double closes. And I know Joe said he thinks that's going to be kind of the new norm, which is just more fees to pay on top. But I think it's per lawyer.
You're doing the double close because your attorney said so, or that's just the way the transaction is?
The, I believe, whoever the attorney is, it's not our normal attorney. It was kind of one of those deals where you have to use a certain attorney, and they're making us do the double close.
I'd like to find out on what basis. Because right now, there's no law that I know of that you cannot still wholesale. They're just trying to tax the wholesaling process.
I think it's the lawyers who can really get in trouble for it, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I disagree. The reason, it's the same thing. When you put on, it's the same thing. It's done all the time, and it'll be done forever. When you write up a contract, as a buyer, you're putting buyer and/or assigns. It allows you the ability to assign the contract. There's nothing in the way of that yet.
Yeah, Carl?
What?
Yeah, I missed a lot of the conversation. I just caught the end, but I believe that Frank is correct. That's changing. That a number of the attorneys, because of the Attorney General, will not do a wholesale deal. There is supposedly some investigation, but so the workaround, or what a number of them are requiring, is a double close.
Well, I think they're jumping the gun. I mean, unless there's an executive order or some kind of order or a law or legislation.
Well, I'm told that we had a meeting, I think, last fall, and there's a large investigation about it. Probably driven, well, regardless where it's driven by, but that's my understanding, and it's in flux, but I do know that a number of attorneys now require a double close. They won't do it as a wholesale.
We'll see how that rolls out, but until I see, you're right, the attorneys control the whole thing, right? So, but until I see a law or a ruling or an order of some sort, so what? There's an investigation going on. Would be.
Well, I mean, I can agree with you. It's personal property. A contract is personal property, and that's been my argument all along. But the attorneys, I'm told that a couple of the big attorneys have just said no, I won't do them. Double close.
Okay.
So
Anybody
you're
else?
right. The attorneys control, the attorneys control what happened in the state, regardless of what the law says. You know, the law is what the judge says it is, right?
All right, so let's go over the new law that was enacted about a week ago. This law provides some sort of financial relief for tenants who are behind in rent from April 1 up to July 31st of this year, aka August 1. Let me just go over it. So it's bill number S8419, Senate S8419. And you can look at it right up in line. You get the whole text of it. But it's a short-term program that provides emergency rent relief to low-income residents impacted by COVID-19. Now, it's to be funded by a $100 million grant from the CARES Act. That's yet to be placed. And it's administered by the Division of Housing and Community Renewal, which is a state agency. And they're going to delegate a local agency to administer this rollout. And by the way, none of this is done. None of this is happening yet. And this is a little convoluted too, this whole little thing, but still it's financial relief. Eligibility, there's 3 points of eligibility here. They must be earning 80% of the area median income, both now and before March 7th. There's going to be a lot of burden placed upon the tenant to produce documents, proof. You see where this is going? You might be a processing assistant with this thing if you go down this road. The second is with rent burden, the monthly payment toward rent equaling, basically what that is, the rent burden is that they're paying 30% of their rent as their income. They're paying 30% more. I'm sorry, let me back that up. Their income is less than 30%, more than 30% of the rent. Beth, am I saying this right? Help me out.
Yeah, it's the same as the Section 8 guidelines. They only want 30% of the income to go to rent. Right?
Right, right. The monthly tenant, your income, there's a 30% threshold of which I had this right. I have a brain clog right now. Let me go to the third thing and come back to that. And they must also show that they have lost income since March 7, 2020. Rent is 30% more of their income. Okay, so the rent is 30% more than the monthly income. Now, and then they go on to define what income is, all the sources of income and the exceptions. And then here's the assistance payment. There's vouchers that the tenant must apply for. And again, this is for rents between April 1 and July 31. I don't quite understand this, but when it rolls out, we will eventually. That amount would be equal to the difference between the individual's rent burden on March 1 and the individual's rent burden at the time of which the assistance is requested. Don't ask me what that means, unless somebody knows. Frank, you know what that means?
Say that again. The rent burden as of March 1st. So how far behind are they?
Yeah, rent burden. So that amount would be equal to the difference between the individual's rent burden on March 1 and the individual's rent burden at the time of which the assistance is requested.
So it's accrued unpaid rent starting from March 1st till July 31st. Probably there can't be any fees. It's rent. It's going to be rent only.
Right. What you can only claim is the 70%. They have the ability to pay 30%. It's the amount above that is going to be is what the voucher is for. Again, convoluted. And as it rolls out, it'll make a lot more sense.
Well, isn't this supposed to be for people that had some kind of an impact from the virus? So maybe they had money to pay rent. They lost their job in March. So now they're over 30% because their income has dropped so far.
Right,
so they're going to be willing to pay what they're accruing. They may deduct like unemployment and take 30% of that and say they didn't pay that to rent, so we're not going to pay that part, but everything above that they will accrue.
Correct. It's the part above 30%. Correct.
But did they have to lose their job specifically from COVID?
No, they have to be financially impacted, lost income. Could be no job, partial income. They had to support a person that had COVID-19. There's a list of things there that falls under that category. But
what if they had a baby and went on maternity? What if they had a baby and went on maternity leave?
And I think that was one of the ones there. Hold on a second. Yeah, there's a list there, Frank. But all in all, again, it's
anybody can say they were affected by COVID. Even if you had to cut your hours back 2 hours a week to help your kids with homeschooling, it's affected by COVID.
Right. All right, so that was there. Any questions on that? And again, there's nothing in play right now. They got to sort this whole thing out, get it, have an administration kind of process. You got to have a nonprofit that able to announce it in an application process. So who knows?
Doesn't sound like anybody's received any benefit from this, though, based on what I've heard so far.
Well, this is brand new. It was
Yeah.
just signed into law 7 days ago.
Okay.
And this act actually terminates next August 1.
Right.
Which means that you have all this time to process financial help.
Okay.
As we learn more about this next month, we'll provide more information. Again, it's fuzzy right now. It's fuzzy.
The only other info I have on it is I passed that information along to Gary Van Bortle, and he said he called the number, which is the state number, and he said could hardly understand the broken English of the person leaving the recording. He said, so anyway, he's got his wife looking into it too to see to get more information. But okay.
Yeah, rent burden is the contract monthly rent, which is more than 30% of the household monthly income.
Right. So I mean, really, what all they're really saying there is, if somebody's in an apartment, where like let's just say they get $1,000 a month income, and their rent is $500, they're not eligible for the program because the state doesn't feel like they're going to be able to afford it anyway. They're probably going to end up getting evicted. That was my take on it.
No, they're saying they'll only cover the 200 because 300 should get covered out of the 1,000.
I didn't read it like that. I read it like that was a disqualifier. Is the way I read it. If your income wasn't high enough, you weren't eligible for the program. Could be wrong.
Yeah. So in that example, they qualify the rent burden. The rent is 30% higher than the monthly income, or less than the monthly income. They're saying that they should be able to pay 30% of that 500, and the difference is the voucher amount that you're able to apply for.
Right, so the state would kick in 200.
Right. All right. Other topics chime in. Somebody want to bring something up? Greg Brooks, you're on. Holy smokes. And we have Ethan. Did that help you out? That answer there? Let's see. For a loan fund, August 1st, 2020. Okay. That's pretty much all I have right now.
Let me ask everybody this. When we finished our numbers at the end of May, we were at, I want to say, I don't remember offhand, but it was like 72% collections of May by May 31st. I ran the numbers the other day and we're at like 92. So is anybody finding, because we're finding that people are catching up this month. Our June percentage for June rent collected is still, 75, kind of what it's been the last couple months, nothing like prior COVID. But we are finding that people are catching up this month. Is anybody else finding that?
Absolutely. And that was my first point earlier on, that we're seeing an influx of cash coming in. A lot of the unemployment claims are just now coming in with the back pay coming in, and the stimulus checks have been coming in. I've been experiencing the same thing, Beth, catching up, paying a little ahead. So there's money flowing out there in the right direction. And I agree with you. Anybody else?
I actually had the opposite. I've been running pretty good till June. And I had one, I found out she just had a kid, so she's out of work right now. And the other one, there are a couple had a problem. I changed the lock. She struggled with June, but she's going to pay it. She wants to pay July. I said, no, I'm going to apply what you pay in July to June, but I'll get my money at the beginning of July. So she's going to be running 1 month behind because of what happened. It was a personal thing that happens all the time with tenants, you know.
I actually, I had one person who actually had COVID-19, and she got behind. Well, she's behind about 2 months, but she sent me $1,000 this month, and she's back to work, and she plans on getting caught up. So I've been doing pretty well, both last month and this month.
I said it last time, I'll say it again. The situation that we're in, it's a true testament of the value and the importance of placing that quality tenant, do the right thing, because along with what we're saying with catching up, on the flip side of this, or the same side of this, is that all the tenants right now, about 33 tenants right now are just like really behind. All of them have communicated, all of them want to stay, want to work it out, have a win-win attitude about things. Nobody's jumping on the landlord bandwagon, right? I'm going to take advantage of this and ride with it. Unless you're not telling me, right? But all indications, they're all in this pool of wanting to do the right thing. It's something out of my control, and let's work it through. And then, which is a good thing. Beth, you're experiencing that also?
I mean, I have a handful, probably 3 or 4 that have pulled the, I can't believe you're asking me for rent during a pandemic, or, we're not supposed to pay rent right now. I have a handful who are doing that. And I have a couple who I know are just giving me a line of why they won't pay. But I can't get upset over that because there's nothing I can do about it right now. But majority of people are communicating. And I know I've said this the last 2 months, but text messaging is the way to go.
Yep. Well, it's all relative, Beth. Look at the numbers. I mean, it's a different if you had 50 units versus you got what, 800?
Like 700.
700, right? So it's all relative there. Yeah, you're gonna have a handful of those.
Mm-hmm.
Just one question. I mean, I had heard that the unemployment benefit was like $600 more in a lot of cases than what people were actually receiving. So, I mean, is there like a legitimate reason why people are like not paying their rent? Or am I missing something?
Well, there's 2 camps. Yes, there's 2 camps. When I take the applications, I'm on unemployment. They give me the figure, 700. That includes the $600 stimulus, right? Yes. Okay. So there's 2 camps out there, the good and the bad. As Beth and I are finding out, this unemployment, there's a surge of it coming in the past 2 weeks and currently, and they're all with that paying and catching up. That's why we see this uptick in catching up with rent because of that. Then you got the bad folks that we run into. Oh, I got all this money. I'm going shopping. See ya. Screw the landlord. So you got these 2 camps out there, Jim.
Okay. But what you're really saying, though, is in most cases, there's really not a legitimate reason for an honest person not to be paying their rent, or am I missing something?
No, you're right.
Well, I think
if they're receiving unemployment with the stimulus, right, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, I think that's what you're seeing is people have been filing every week to get their unemployment payments since they lost their jobs, and they're just starting to get paid now, 6, 8, 10 weeks after they applied for it. Because I've heard multiple people say that.
Okay, that's good to know.
But remember that $600 a week ends July 15th, right?
It does, but New York State promised they would back pay that all the way through whenever their initial application date was. So there's people who are going to get like $10,000 checks by the time they get their first payment.
Yeah.
Very good.
that's why in Cuomo's order of the requirement that they qualify or receive unemployment, they should be exempt from the eviction, right? They should. I can't see how that should have been in there, right? Because like Jim was saying, that's coming in. Just because you're on that unemployment should be enough not to have to wait for the eviction until August 20th. So, and then on the flip side of that, again, the bad ones out there, the ones that are a little devious, the most egregious tenants out there, they're going to take that wad of cash. It's time to move, right? That's why we're seeing on this side folks showing up with this profile of unemployment insurance and a lot of cash, you know, and the reasons, you know, well, that hole's so deep, I'd rather start fresh, or I had a fight with my neighbor, it's time to get out, or there's drugs in my street, time to get out. So anybody with cash, every year during tax time too, anybody with cash, they have a reason to jet, they're gonna go. And so we just happen to have 2 tax times this year, tax returns and COVID, unemployment. Any other topics for the day? Otherwise, we have a little short meeting today. That's not that bad. Oh, on that Judge Mark's opening of the courts process, you can't, that's backwards, right? You can't see it. With the petition, Beth, did you see this notice to respondent tenant thing? So with the petition, you're supposed to include this exhibit ordered by the court. It says during this coronavirus emergency, you must be you might be entitled by law to take additional days or weeks to file an answer to this petition. Please contact your attorney. If you don't have one, please visit our website. We'll walk you through it. We're going to wait till August 20.
Exactly. Now, Carl, about the new fair housing guidelines, you know anything about that?
Yes, that's your, oh, great. Why don't you, you're up to speed. Why don't you cover that? Great point.
Okay.
I forgot about
I'm
that.
sort of up to speed. There's new fair housing guidelines that you have to have at all of your showings as of June 20th, but correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, you may know. Is it only if you're a broker or a management company, or do individual landlords have to?
Everybody, anybody
okay.
who leases, brokers, the little guy, you got to have that sheet on the wall on the kitchen wall. You hand it to them at the application. They provided forms online, New York State Department of State. There's new rules that began June 20th. Thanks for bringing up, Beth. I forgot about that. That just began at the same time that the courts open. But it's almost identical to the lead affidavit, right?
Right. And you have to have it in your packet at the move-in also.
Yes, right. So they need to know up front when you show the apartment or during the application process. And there's a form that you give them, and there's an affidavit, just like the lead affidavit, almost identical. Just this is a discrimination thing. So that's the new process now that began. Of course, it's going to be an educational period. I don't think anybody's really kind of doing that now, other than the brokers and the ones that are really up to speed. But for the little guy, eventually it's going to catch up to us. So that's something new. And again, those forms are on the Department of State website. The affidavit and the actual form they want you to present. Anything else you got in that, Beth?
No, I think that's really it. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You just have to have it posted at every open house or every showing, and they have to sign off on it. It's pretty straightforward, but it's just another hoop to jump through.
Yeah, and just, and I think what you meant by the brokers in the agencies and the real estate offices, just like the employment disclosure, It's the same. They have to have a disclosure posted in their office, saying the same thing. They have a form just signed just for that. So you got to post that in any public office where the public comes in. Real estate office. That means, do you have yours posted on the door yet?
Of course. And it has to be on your website too. If you have a website, it's got to be on the front page of your website, and it's got to, I think we just have it like at the bottom, and you got to just link it to the Department of State. But it has to be on the home page of your website.
Gene is on.
Very silently. Secret squirrel stuff
19.
going on there.
Carl, back to that, the $100 million grant. From what I understand, Rochester's doing it through Catholic Family, correct?
Are you talking about the bill that just passed?
Yeah,
No, that's something.
that's a
completely
different one?
different. Yeah, that's completely different.
Okay, so let's circle back to the one that other states are already getting money for, but we aren't yet, because they haven't figured it out. Do you know which one I'm talking about? Is it through the CARES Act, isn't it?
Yeah, the one that Catholic Family Center has, that's through the CARES Act. That was
But
separate.
did they ever figure out the hiccup? Because they wanted the tenants, the requirement was that the tenants have to present a 14-day notice.
Yeah, I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that yet.
Yeah, so when I was on the call with Jamie Kane, and Alex Turner from Catholic Family was on, and he said the requirement, Susan's shaking her head, so I think I'm on the right path. One of the requirements is that they have their DSS denial letter. They were affected by COVID. They have a lease, but then they needed a 14-day notice from the landlord stating they're behind. But we can't serve a 14-day notice in New York. So he was kind of dumbfounded as, oh crap, what are we gonna do? Because they needed that.
Let's break that down. Hold on. So I don't know where you got your information from. We are serving 14-day notices now as of June 20th.
But not if it's federally backed, you can't.
Well,
I'm sorry, Section 8, you can't.
Right. You take that chance. We don't know what the judges will do. You take that chance. The advisement from the attorneys is no, because they don't want to get caught. But we have no idea what the courts will do with that. But right. So just like June 20th, August 20th, there's two camps out there of recommendations. Some attorneys are saying yes, some are saying no. Listen to your attorney, whatever it might be. I'm going to take, the reason why I did my 14-day notices, I did them on Monday. I gave them a package, a list of all the agencies that have grant money available, the 211 number for financial help. They love that. So with all my papers, they get that. Beth, I think I sent that to you, right?
Yeah.
They all get that, and it's amazing. I got a couple of checks for YMCA from that application process. And, you always include financial help with any of your collection letters because it's really beneficial. It puts you in a, white hat position too of trying to work together, and nothing's adversarial about that. But they all went out, and the reason, the intent was the fact, well, one is the resource list, but once they start getting those things, the whole thing kind of changes. Whoa, okay, the courts are opening up again. Here we go. I've seen this before. Now I got to start thinking seriously about what's going on and getting caught up. And from those notices, I noticed an uptick in payments coming in quickly. A few of them paid on the spot. Right. So that was the intent of that 14-day notice. After July, I'm going to do another one the first week in July. I'm going to cancel out the first one, do another one in July. That'll be my, and Beth, I'm going to be the guinea pig. I'm going to try. I'm going to try about 5 cases where I serve before the 20th. I'll see what happens. We'll file after August 20th, and we'll see what happens. I don't care. Everybody's second guessing. Everybody's trying to guess what would the judges do. I mean, come on. It's nowhere in the order says you can't do that.
You're an ask for forgiveness guy, not for permission, right, Carl?
Right. Yeah. That's
It just boggles my mind that like they've been doing virtual courts in other places in New York, but like the Rochester judges, I just feel like have been on vacation for months. It doesn't make sense to me.
yeah. I'm not sure about civil, but the criminal part down there is still pretty busy. As I walked into the chambers or the vestibule, they had the scrolling cases on the wall. There were a good 40 cases that day at the 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock time frames. Most appear to be, you can't tell with the scroll, but they appear to be criminal. I'm not sure about civil.
There's a reason why New York State is the last worst state for business in the whole country. So.
Yeah, why are we still here?
Look who's on. Colleen's on.
Colleen, you're on.
I'm trying.
So I'm glad you're on. We're kind of winding down here. We're going to be signing off in a minute. So it's been a month. What's your state of economy or the pulse of the market out there? What's going
on? Still haven't been home before 8 o'clock any night ever, apparently, in the last month. Had 2 offers accepted today, wrote 7 offers last week. Nothing got accepted. It's crazy. It's
Suburbia
crazy.
Or a rental property?
City, not rental property. Had sold 2 rental properties today too, but Melville Street, house listed for 105. I guarantee it's going to sell for 140 at least.
Crazy.
And it's a small little ranch.
Way at the far end, right?
Yep, the dead end. It's actually in Irondequoit.
Yeah.
But the market's nuts. The market makes no sense at all as far as residential properties go. The investment properties, they're picking up. We're definitely seeing some movement. People are out now.
Now, Colleen, why do you think that is? Is it, I mean, because we have, before COVID, it was like, okay, I'm testing the market, I want to sell. And now you would think that they would back up a little bit, but I feel like it's full-fledged again.
It really is full-fledged. And I'll tell you, the perception by people who aren't really watching the market very carefully is that they're going to get great deals because people are hurting right now. That's not happening. But that's the perception by a lot of these buyers. So they have to kind of be educated that, that may not be the case. You're going to be probably one of several offers in on a property. And you got to be serious about your offers. You can't lowball. I've talked to so many flippers who've said, I need to find something below market and flip it. It's not happening.
What's the buyer profile, Colleen, for city rental properties, mostly out of town or locals?
The 2 I sold today are locals. I'm working with a handful of people from out of town, but I think the locals are probably more active than the out of towners right now.
Gotcha. Awesome update. On one last note. Oh, wait, let me put this in there. On code. I didn't do that yet.
Carl, any update on C of O inspections?
No, I hope you would have that. Oh wait, are you on the Gary Kirkmeyer loop?
Yeah.
With what they're trying to do? Yeah, because that was on the meeting with them. So
yeah, I mean,
why don't you provide an update on that?
Well, as far as we're concerned, I know it kind of sucks because every inspector is different. So Some inspectors are more apt to go into occupied properties if the tenants leave. They're okay with that. Some inspectors will not go in if it's occupied whatsoever. So, and vacants, they'll go in, that's no problem. So, and of course, it's the ones that we need inspected right away where the inspector doesn't feel comfortable. So it's kind of give and take, and it's just communication with the inspector. But I have had some inspectors take, they were able to accept video tours of, you know, if we had a couple violations left, they were fine with accepting that. And I know like pre-COVID, it's like a faux pas, you just can't do that. So we have had some luck with that. I don't know when they're gonna reopen though, I'm not really sure.
Right. And what that means is if you have to get a lead test done, you have to go to third party. They won't do a lead test.
Right.
So you got to pay for that now until they open back up again. But what's going on behind the scenes, guys? There's preliminary activity in developing a new kind of a rollout here with the code inspection department, where they're exploring a tenant sign-off on code violation kind of thing. They're accepting virtual or video tape of a reinspection. You can reinspect yourself, have the tenant sign off on it with you, and submit a video clip. They're exploring the process for that. So these are under construction right now, and they have, I think, weekly meetings.
I think they're bi-weekly.
Yeah. So
there is also, if you guys want to keep in mind, I'm sorry, Carl, there is, it's not officially out yet, but keep it in mind. There's a city grant coming out and they will give you up to $2,000 per, why are you laughing? I know you don't like to jump through hoops, but.
No, have you read this thing?
Oh, whatever. You want the 2,000, you jump through the hoops.
Oh my God.
I mean, I wouldn't do it, but I know
not all 45 hoops I'm jumping in.
Some of my owners will make me do it. So pretty much it's, if you need to rehab a unit, the city will give you up to $2,000 towards that rehab cost. I wouldn't do it for my rentals, but some of my owners will. You have to agree that you're not going to raise rent for a certain amount of time. You have to take certain classes of tenants, so they have to be in an income bracket. But I mean, for some people, $2,000 to make a unit ready when you have a 10 grand bill, it goes a long way. Carl doesn't like the red tape. I don't like the red tape, but some people, you know, it works for them. If you don't like it, don't use it.
But that's not rolled out. They're still developing that.
Right,
yeah.
But it's supposed to be pretty soon.
Okay. Gotcha. Let me close on this. In the chat box, if you, I mean, the library, the stuff that's happening and changing every day, Colleen, I think you're on the round table a few times, right? If you're not on that daily 2 o'clock round table, you're really missing out, but not really, because everything that kind of happens in terms of forms, documents, evidence, I mean, there's a resource area on that website, and that's the address for it, boilandcode.com. But check that out. That resource is just sample forms and just all kinds of, you can spend a week in that resource center. But that's all the current stuff that's going on, all the bills, of the forms, the new kind of forms going on, and articles and documents. And so jump in there. There's the email address. That's the Roundtable Club. I think a lot of us are on that at 2 o'clock every day. So I'm going to wind this thing down here. It's 8:20. Any last minute comments or questions?
I got a quick question for Beth. You said earlier that you buy from wholesalers, and you run a company that buys from wholesalers?
Yeah, we have a property management company, so we run approximately 700 units in the city, and most of them are, you know, low income inner city. We do have some in the suburbs, but we, the owner of our company buys from a bunch of wholesalers in the area, and then a lot of our local investors also buy from wholesalers, and then they get the units ready and hold them. So yeah,
700 is a lot. It's impressive.
it's a lot.
I
A
used,
lot of
I
drama.
used to be there.
A lot of
I-
drama.
I used to be there, Beth. That was I peaked out at 850, and I had 25 full-time people, and I said, no. I did that for 12 years, and you took over. Thank you.
Every day I'm like, seriously, another chapter to the book. The stories are just unreal.
Yeah.
May I, by chance, get the contact info for this company? Or
Yeah, I'll send it to you on the side.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Good luck, Isaiah. Do you live in Rochester?
No, I live in Buffalo.
It's a pretty ripe market down there too, over there. So
Yeah, I've seen a lot of
Starting
folks.
out. Make sure you, well, what's important is the networking, getting associated with your local investment club. I think, do they have one, FFREIA in Buffalo, Susan, do you know? No? Or maybe a different kind of investment club, but
Rochester, closest one.
There are no other RIAs in New York State besides us and one in New York City.
they might have a Buffalo landlord group or something like that. Try to find them and hook up with them. It's invaluable resources being part of a group. I'm glad you're part of this one. We're online now, so you can jump in any time, not have to drive.
Yeah, that helps. I was excited to see that there are Zoom meetings now. Thank you for the information. It was a good meeting.
You should check out the, was it the Aries one, Susan?
Yeah, I had mentioned those to Isaiah earlier.
Okay.
That the wholesaling conversations are much more appropriate in the alternative real estate investment strategy meetings that meet the first Thursday morning each month and the third Thursday evening each month.
Isaiah, have you gone into the FFREIA.com site?
I've looked around it a little bit.
Because in there gives you all of the support group times and meetings and when, and I don't know if you saw that part, but that's where you get the schedule. It's there all the time.
Okay, I was probably going to apply to be a member.
Awesome.
Stuart, how do you get a candle breaking the toilet bowl?
Hey, that was something I never heard of before.
Oh,
Tenant bowl broke and said, "Oh, to the candle, a big candle. One of those big candles broke. It's just a bunch of crap, you know." And they had a fight. She was a pretty heavy woman. So they replaced it at their own cost. I didn't do anything about it. But I've heard that. I've heard a lot of stories. You know, a couple of things like that. But I just thought I'd share it, give everybody a chuckle, you know.
can't make it up.
No, can't make it up. Some of the stuff you hear. Yep.
Isaiah, to give you an idea, I've been doing this for 37 years. Stuart, I think you're 35 years. Colleen, you're 35 years. I mean, there's a lot of heavy veterans here.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's a little more than that, but that's okay. 35
That's
is okay.
So,
Stuart feels like a young
Longchamps,
man again.
Yeah.
Gene Longchamps, you haven't poked your head out yet, but you've been doing this for 40 years. Greg Brooks.
Yeah, Greg's a long time too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's 40 years.
I think I'm 47 years.
Hi, Carl.
Anyway, yeah. Oh, okay.
Pop your head out.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be nice that way. Yes, it's been over 30, we'll say.
We need to have an old timers happy hour.
Things have changed a lot. They sure have.
You don't have time for that, Colleen. By the way, you just got home. You should get something to eat and drink and get off this.
Look, I stopped at Shaler's. That's why I was a little bit late getting here. I haven't eaten all day.
Oh my God.
Not coming home to cook. I have to write 3 offers tonight. So
You're Wonder
I can't-
Woman, man.
Yeah,
You're
but I wouldn't miss this. I felt terrible that I even signed on late to it. But I love this group. Learn something every time I get on it.
All right, so just as I mentioned last month, next month we're gonna have all new stuff to talk about. So we're gonna sign. Any last closing arguments? Anybody want to say something?
Closing arguments.
Raise the rent.
What'd you say?
I said raise the rent.
Okay, you're not being okay.
That's just a statement I've had for a long time, Carl. So. Yeah, to raise the rent. Yeah.
You're not being a good player, Stuart.
Oh, I'm not. Okay.
Okay.
Speaking of raising the rent, have you guys looked at what Section 8 will pay for a 3-bedroom house nowadays?
No, I haven't. What do they pay? What do they pay now?
It's insane.
1,500?
Like 14.
For a 2-bedroom, they'll do 1,021, I think it was.
When I saw that, I was like, holy crap, we need to raise our rents.
Seriously.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you got to go with the budget of the tenant and blah, blah, blah. But like a 3-bedroom, we just got one for $1,350. And it's not in the exception areas. It's in the regular areas. I was like, man.
I'm listing a house over in the Otis Street, Curtis Street area tomorrow. Listing it for $54,900. I've sold the house 3 times with the same tenant in it. He's been in there 14 years. Loves the place. He pays $600 a month. Yeah.
Isaiah, that's what you call a triple closing.
So he's probably going to be moving because I don't think anybody's going to keep him there for $600 a month. But
well, if he stays in one place for 14 years, I'll find a place for him. But
I will send him your way. I will send him your way.
I know Gary Nessler's got some great properties. And Gary, would you ever think you would get $1,350 for a single 3-bedroom house from Section 8? It's crazy.
Not in Rochester, maybe in the suburb.
Yeah, check it out. It's crazy what they'll approve now.
I just put a young lady in House and Gates. They approved $1,250, but I have her pay for her own appliances and she pays her own water, pays for her own garbage, everything though. But I think if I paid for that stuff, it would have been about $1,350.
Yeah.
But I was in Gates, so.
Yeah. Amazing.
All right, I'm going to sign out. Y'all can hang on here if you want. It's 8:30. It's good seeing everybody again. Stay safe. And 1 month away.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
See you. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.